Exit polls have given the NDA a clear majority. But if the polls are wrong, will Modi need outside support? Thanks for joining us. I'm Harsha Subramaniam. The question we are asking today, if there is a hung parliament, then who will be the kingmakers? And what is the opposition's game plan? Joining us to discuss that, RK Radhakrishnan, Associate Editor, Frontline, Tathagata Satpathy, founder of Orissa Post and former Member of Parliament from the Biju Janata Dal, Suvojit, Bagchi, Chief of Bureau, Kolkata at the Hindu, Krishna Prasad, political analyst and former editor at Outlook. Gentlemen, many thanks to all of you for joining us. Krishna Prasad, I'll start this conversation with you. The opposition parties are busy figuring their future strategy in case of a hung parliament. 21 parties today are rallying with the Election Commission on the EVM issue. What is the opposition really betting on after these exit polls?
Well, the biggest bet that the opposition parties can have is that the exit polls turn out to be wrong. And as we've noticed historically, exit polls in this country have been historically very, very wrong. About 80 to 85% of polls published since 2014 have been wrong. So I think the opposition party's biggest bet is that the polls are wrong and that the feeling that most of them got on the ground that things are really turning away from Mr. Narendra Modi towards, if not the Congress, at least to a bunch of parties, is something that they would hope will hold, day after tomorrow. I think so. Therefore, they are really being held up by hope. And of course, the fact that, there are so many big question marks about exit polls. So I think that is the key factor. And also the third and most important factor uniting all of these, 21 parties is the, collective urge to really see the end of Mr. Narendra Modi, which they have articulated for several months now. I think there has been no doubt whatsoever in the last few months that most of these parties, despite some amount of vacillation, have wanted to see Mr. Modi out. And I think you are seeing, therefore, a kind of a conglomeration of these efforts, the exit polls going wrong, the hope on the ground, the flurry of activity in terms of issues which are ranged against Mr. Modi in several states. So I think these are 3-4 reasons which they will be banking on very much.
I just want to bring a list of people, possible kingmakers who could emerge in case the exit polls are wrong and there isn't a decisive mandate. The list would be as follows. Akhilesh Yadav of the Samajwadi Party, Mayawati of the BSP, Chandrababu Naidu from TDP, Jagan Reddy from YSR, Chandrasekhar Rao from the TRS, Mamata Banerjee from the Trinamool, Naveen Patnaik from Biju Janata Dal and MK Stalin of the DMK. Krishna Prasad, one more follow-up question to this, and this is specifically with respect to Mayawati and Akhilesh. How much of this non-BJP coalition, if I may loosely call it, is centered around Mayawati and Akhilesh doing well in UP? I mean, if they don't get 40+ seats, is this project a non-starter?
Oh, 100%. I think all of this is predicated on how well these two parties will do in Uttar Pradesh. And as you can see from these exit polls, there's no clear-cut view on this. There are a bunch of pollsters who are giving 50 and 50, beyond 50 to these two parties. 56 is one of the more interesting numbers I have seen. At the same time, 2 of these opinion polls, or 3 of those opinion polls, have been in the range of 20 to 22. So this whole game depends on how well they do in Uttar Pradesh. On the ground, it seems very clear, if you especially look at all these EVM stories coming out, that clearly the coalition, the Gathbandhan, is doing very well. So I think it is predicated very much on that. But also, as you can see in the last couple of days, 2-3 things have happened. One is the CBI has decided not to go against the Congress in this Bofors scandal. They have just stopped the Bofors investigation. Today, this morning, the disproportionate assets case against Mulayam Singh Yadav and Akhilesh Yadav have been withdrawn. So what you see is a set of parallel activities. And also, on the other side, Mayawati is hedging her bets. She was to meet Sonia Gandhi yesterday. She's kind of dithered and has put it off. So what you can see is that everybody is really hoping that the polls turn out in their favor, and from there on they will make their move. But there is no doubt whatsoever that those two parties, if they bring in something like 50 seats to the table, they will have a key role to play in the next formation, if there is one.
Okay. Let me just now focus on leaders from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. RK Radhakrishnan, Chandrababu Naidu is playing a central role in rallying the opposition together. There are reports that Naidu has proposed a formula that the party should submit a memorandum to the president declaring their intent to form the government even before counting day. What is the game that Naidu is playing?
Naidu simply wants the upper hand in the battle between YSR Reddy and KCR. That's all. I mean, it's three people in a very small pond trying to all act like national leaders. You had KCR come to Chennai, go to Trivandrum, try to meet Mamta, which didn't obviously happen because Mamta didn't want to meet him. And then again, you have Naidu playing the same game. Now, it all hinges on how much Naidu brings to the table. If he's going to bring only, say, 5 or 6 to the table, which seems a very realistic possibility, given that Jagan is doing so well in Andhra, he is going to be irrelevant as far as national politics is concerned. You leave all of that, but then BJP numbers, I disagree with Krishna Prasad on this minor point. Yes, UP brings in 80 and BJP at 173. But you look at the integral, from Karnataka, you go up, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh. You take this as an entity and you see that in 236 seats, the BJP and its allies had won 211 in 2011. It is 2014. It is impossible to repeat that. You give the 73 in UP to BJP. Even with that, you cannot max out in Gujarat. You cannot max out as you did last time. You cannot max out in nearly max out in Rajasthan. You cannot nearly max out in Madhya Pradesh. Okay. I think even if in UP they're going to do so well, I'm very sure that they're going to lose at least 10 seats each in MP. MP, you see a 9% upswing in the number of in polling. It cannot indicate that these people are unhappy with Congress because Congress has just come to power. They have done a loan waiver. I don't see Congress being, facing an anti-incumbency. So given this, even if UP holds true for BJP, it is the other 4 states where they're going to lose at least 10 seats each, which is going to be critical. Okay,
I'm going to come to Bengal in just a moment. Before that, just one more word on Andhra Pradesh. Krishna Prasad, exit polls seem to be very divided in Andhra Pradesh. 2 pollsters have predicted that Naidu is going to retain Andhra, while 2 others have predicted that Jagan Reddy is going to be sweeping. What's your assessment? And, how does this, add up to this, to the game plan that both are playing to have some sort of a role in the center?
Harsha, it's a very good question. I think the role of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana in the next government is quite critical, looking at the moves both KCR and Chandrababu Naidu are making. But there is a third Telugu, don't forget that. The third Telugu in this race is Ram Madhav. You see there are these 3 Telugus who are playing a critical role. And if there has been one iota of doubt about Mr. Modi forming the next government, it's actually come from this third Telugu, Ram Madhav. So I think that is one thing to keep in mind. Secondly, on the issue of what will happen in Andhra Pradesh, frankly, none of us know. And I think none of us should even wager to know what's going to happen. You see, all these polls are saying this and that at the same time, and we will look very foolish if we were to stick our necks out. But surely it's a surprise that Mr. Chandrababu Naidu is really bounced back so well to actually do well in these 2 or 3 exit polls, one of which has been done by a politician. But I think the subplot to day after tomorrow is not just whether Mr. Modi is going to form the government. It's also these various little things that are happening. Will Andhra Pradesh see Mr. Chandrababu Naidu back again? Will the Karnataka government survive? Will there be some action in West Bengal after this so-called anarchy that the Modi BJP has leveled? Sure. You see a fair few, and again, one last thing. Sure. Again, Uttar Pradesh, if for example, BJP loses, let's say, 50 seats in Uttar Pradesh and cannot even hold on to Gorakhpur, I have my doubts about Yogi Adityanath also. So therefore, there are lots of subplots here, but I think the Telugu-speaking states are going to play a very big role. One of the reasons I think is also the resources that they command. I think both chief ministers have enormous amounts of resources to kind of cobble together these things. And Mr. Chandrababu Naidu has been at this game for the last 30 years. Here in my backyard, he played a key role in 1994 when his father-in-law's government was overthrown. And from that point, you've seen him play this role repeatedly. Okay. And I think you're seeing the same thing once again.
Okay, let me bring one more subplot. Chandrababu Naidu has also met with Mamata Banerjee. Suvojit, Bagchi, this is a good time to bring you into this conversation. What do you think would be her game plan? What is the thinking in the Trinamool? The exit polls have revealed that the BJP may be getting many more seats than anticipated. And they've placed all their bets in Bengal from the point that Radhakrishnan was making to make up for the losses in UP.
Well, of course, on basis of exit poll, we can never say that what are the number of seats that they're going to get. But what we see, of course, on ground is, yes, there is an increase, and I'm sure there will be a
Okay, we seem to have lost that line with Suvojit. We'll come back to him in just a bit. I also have Tathagata Satpathy joining us on the phone line, and I want to talk about Orissa. Mr. Satpathy, thank you so much for joining in. What have you made of the BJP showing, at least as far as the exit polls are concerned? If a situation arises, would Naveen Patnaik be open to aligning with the NDA at the center, you would think?
See, Naveen Patnaik has been blowing hot and cold with the BJP for the past few years. So I would not venture out as far as saying that whether he will support directly or not. But the claim that the BJP is making to get a certain number of a hefty sum of seats from the Orissa kitty. We have 21 Lok Sabha seats totally, and their estimates saying anything between 14 to 18. I don't believe that. And secondly, this has been such an election where the average voter has gone absolutely quiet. They have not been forthcoming. So I don't know if this be the national scenario. I am not willing to accept the exit poll results because I don't think that is practical, or it doesn't seem. It has a similarity. If you see the various polls, the results, there is a kind of a similarity, like it has been worked out in one big office, and the figures have been upped someplace and brought down a little bit. It's been like an inch or two up and down.
Okay.
But it seems very, very similar. But in Orissa, I do not think the figure that the BJP is claiming, I do not feel they will get that.
Okay.
And as far as Naveen Patnaik is concerned, let us see. Time will tell. See, he will go by whoever promises the best for the state, I guess, for his own survival.
Okay.
So that.
One quick question before I let you go, Mr. Satpathy. The trend that perhaps the people of Orissa have actually voted for Patnaik in the state and BJP or for Modi at the center, does that theory hold water?
To a certain extent, I am unwilling to believe, because I have been fighting elections since 1990, and I have been seeing parliament elections since 1998. That was the first election that I won. And I am seeing this situation where simultaneously from 2004, we've been having simultaneous elections for assembly and for the Lok Sabha. When that India Shining election happened, Naveen Patnaik cut short his term by 1 year and went in for simultaneous polls. I have not seen this kind of a trend happening, and I believe it can happen. I am not willing to, I am not prepared to say that the voter is not conscious. They are conscious. But if there is that kind of a tacit understanding between the Biju Janata Dal and the Bharatiya Janata Party that you take this, I take that, then you have to admit that they have, worked out some mathematics which will be beyond democracy, beyond people, first. And secondly, I don't think the average voter will vote two ways in a large number.
Okay.
There might be some, but
Sure.
I am not prepared. I am willing to be proven wrong,
Okay.
but I am not willing to be party to the thought that they have voted two ways. One, first vote for parliament goes one way, second vote for the assembly goes another way.
Okay.
That is not in a large number.
Okay. Mr. Satpathy, thank you so much indeed for joining us with your perspective. Okay, that's Orissa for you. Naveen Patnaik may be open to both sides. Suvojit, I'm going to come back to you to let you complete that point on Bengal. What is the thinking at the Trinamool at this juncture?
So Trinamool, of course, cannot go ahead with BJP because, whatever happens, I mean, there is a conjecture here that they may as well go with BJP. They have to recalibrate their whole position. What has happened during the elections, we have seen both pitched their campaign, which was very shrill throughout the elections. But from this position, can they go back to their previous position, which they were aligned with BJP at one point in time, quite 15 years back? So can they do that? I don't think there's a possibility, because they will always have to keep in mind that there is a very strong anti-BJP vote bank in Bengal as of now, whatever BJP gets, and BJP, and if Trinamool indicates that they are moving towards the right, then that space will be taken over by the CPIM and the Congress, which you won't like. But one advantage, of course, there's a disadvantage of Trinamool Congress in this election, and that is primarily the kind of money that BJP has spent. This state has not ever seen that kind of money being spent in the elections. It's in, I don't know how many, definitely it's in hundreds of crores. But the clear advantage that as of now Trinamool Congress has is, there are 77,000 booths in Bengal, and nobody has mentioned this, that, booth management is a very important thing in Bengal, and you need 10 young men, perhaps below 30, 35, to manage manage each and every booth, which means you need 770,000, 7.7 lakh young men to manage booths in Bengal. Now, which party has that to manage 77,000 booths? I don't think CPIM had that at one point in time, and this is a clear advantage of Trinamool Congress. But of course, the other disadvantage that they have, that is Sangh Parivar. Sangh Parivar has worked silently in Bengal for many, many years, and they spread their roots, and Trinamool at this point, it doesn't know how to deal with it. So there are pluses and minuses, but end of it, I don't think there's any chance for Trinamool Congress to align with the right in this election.
Okay, that brings it to my last state and last kingmaker potentially, MK Stalin in Tamil Nadu. Radhakrishnan, exit polls are predicting a clean sweep for the DMK. However, the Chief Minister of the state, Edappadi Palaniswamy, today seems confident of winning the by-polls as well as winning the parliamentary elections. Which way do you think this has swung?
Very clearly, it's a DMK Congress sweep here. In 2014, you didn't need an exit poll to say that the BJP was winning. Likewise, you don't need an exit poll here in the state to say that the DMK Congress is winning. Having said that, the by-polls are a completely different cup of tea. It's easy to concentrate in small pockets in assembly segments and make somebody win. I expect that Edappadi will fall short of the number that he requires. He requires 11 to keep the government. I don't see that is primarily because though the paper will show that he has 113 members in the assembly, the halfway mark is 117. 3 of them have been issued notices by the speaker. They've got a stay order from the Supreme Court. So that is 3 down. You are down to 110. There are 3 more MLAs who are deeply unhappy with the state of affairs in the ADMK. They are actually contesting. They actually contested in the ADMK symbol because they were smaller parties. Their symbols, because Jayalalitha insisted they contest in the ADMK symbol. So that brings down the number to 107. I don't see Edappadi winning the 11 required to make the halfway mark, just past the halfway mark. And the interesting thing is that I don't see Stalin winning 21 to pass the halfway mark either. So we are going to have a lot of oscillating and possibly a lot more, intrigues and behind the scenes happening in Tamil Nadu, because in case TTV Dinakaran wins a couple of seats in Tamil Nadu, he is going to be the kingmaker as far as the state of Tamil Nadu is concerned. Given the fact that DMK is going to have a minimum of 24 members in parliament, it is going to be a key constituent in any formation that is going to happen. But yes, Stalin has made it very clear that he will not be part of a BJP campaign. And yes, that is the single largest problem for the BJP. As Suvojit was saying, you can't find TMC allying with the BJP. You can't find SP and BSP obviously allying with the BJP. You can't find the DMK allying with the BJP. So that leaves out actually YSR and the Telangana Rashtra Samiti. Now, we are not sure which way TRS will swing, and we have seen this happen a lot of times in the past, where parties promise one side and then they will eventually join the other side.
Correct.
Again, Naveen Patnaik will only be with the party will allow him to, some leeway in Orissa. So let us keep all these factors in mind.
Okay, I have one last word with you, Krishna Prasad. The Congress, it's amazing. We've spoken for the last 30 minutes. We've not spoken a word about the Congress. The Congress, interestingly, is not making any moves in forming any form of alliance, talking to people so far. If the UPA is considerably weakened, or if what would be the threshold for the Congress to be in the negotiating table, you would think?
Harsha, I wouldn't quite buy this theory that the Congress is doing nothing at all. I think much of what you see is for optics and what you're seeing, on the outer surface. You can be sure that the Congress, which is, really invested heavily into this whole election in terms of thought, in terms of strategy, I think they would certainly be making their moves, and I would not be surprised if Chandrababu Naidu is also doing so on their behalf. I think these are possibilities we must entertain, and I don't think we should play into this theology that the Congress is a moribund, dead force that many people try to project, especially after this exit poll. I think that's a very simplistic view of the Congress, which is 130 years old. I think they know their onions a little. I think we should be a little more hopeful of that. That said, if you look at all these exit polls, once again, there's no clear number. In fact, I think the exit polls always come too early for the Jaipur Lit Fest. It's basically creative fiction, and they come too early for the Jaipur Lit Fest. But even if you assume that there is some truth in these exit polls, you still don't have a proper figure for either the BJP or for the Congress. Again, all of this is, a whole lot of, jugglery which is going on, a large number which is thrown in your face. But let's assume the Congress doubles what it had. Let it say it had 44. Let's assume it goes up to 60 or 70, something like that,
sure.
Which will be really, poor show despite all that they have done. But let's assume theoretically that they can just about manage to double this.
Yeah.
I still think they will play a key role in cementing this. I think the Congress has done very, very smart things. It suggested very clearly that it does not insist on the prime ministership. That's a very good signal to send to a Mayawati or to a Chandrasekhar Rao or to anybody you care, that they are not insisting on the prime ministership. The fact that the Congress has been, playing second fiddle to the JDS in Karnataka tells you that their whole strategy towards forming governments has changed.
Right.
It no longer wants to be in charge. So I think the Congress has sent good signals.
Right.
Despite provocative statements, Rahul Gandhi has not responded to many of those statements, even those made by Akhilesh Yadav or Mayawati or Mamta Banerjee. So I think the Congress has ensured that it will play a central figure.
Right.
If you looked at today's press conference, for one last point, if you looked at today's press conference, again, Ghulam Nabi Azad is the kind of figure who's a centralizing figure, has great experience in doing this. And I think, if they took out a petition to the Election Commission, the Congress would have played a key role. So I don't think we should be mistaken. The fact that Sonia Gandhi invited Mayawati to come, the fact that Sonia Gandhi publicly met many of these leaders like Chandrababu Naidu, etc., tells you that the Congress has been playing this game. What they have also done is they have not waited for May 23rd. That's a key mistake the Congress made earlier in states like Goa and Manipur, when it waited till the last day after the results to react. I think the Congress has done a lot of smart, subtle moves, not in your face.
Sure.
They've sent a nice, warm feeling, and I think the Congress will play a very big role.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there. Krishna Prasad, RK, Radhakrishnan, Suvojit, many thanks indeed for joining us with this perspective. Let's wait till Thursday, one more day to go when the results will be out. If you have been, thank you so much indeed for watching.